What's up, everybody? It's Chad. I'm back again with another episode of Ask Chad Grassy Logic. We're here with Season 2, Episode 30 now. We're moving right along. We're here in August. I'm here with my friend Astrid today of Queen Bee Collective. Been here a little bit. Really great episode today. I've been looking forward to having Astrid on, tell her story because she's got some good news for you guys. But without further also, I have to actually thank my sponsors. So I want to thank Monster House, where we're sitting right now in their consumption lounge, which I call the Edgar Allan Poe corner. Also want to thank Cinder Cannabis. They're one of my other sponsors, and of course Turquoise Bloom, my third sponsor. So I want to thank all of you. Appreciate y'all. Go check them out if you're in the area. And let's get on with the show. So Astrid, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for having me again.
Of course, dude. You know, it's always great having you here. You're on the show and everything. And you're on last year and we're on a table. Now we're, somewhere different. How do you like the different setup now?
I like the setup.
Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah,
beautiful in here.
we've evolved.
Yeah, we've evolved.
We've evolved a little bit. So yeah, Astrid runs Queen Bee's Collective, but I won't talk for her. I'll let you introduce.
Astrid, I have a couple names, but Astrid's the most common. I am the owner of Queen Bee's Collective. We've been open shy of 6 months, and also have Queen Bee's Gallery, which has been open for 6.5 years.
Nice. Yeah. So the Queen Bee's Gallery part, what made you decide to open that in the first place? Because you said it's been there 6 years.
Yes. So I had a partner, and he wanted to sell glass, and he wanted to order this Chinese glass from DH Gate. And I was like, I know somebody that has an American blown brand. Yeah. And so I bought $1,200 worth of glass from him, and we started selling glass out of my laundry room. And then the spot opened up where it was next to Saba, when Saba was still there.
Yeah.
And we just ended up there, and it's evolved into like a beautiful glass gallery now. It's made a change for the good.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Throughout the years, I've seen it progress and everything. And then uniqueness of your glass has
The quality.
There you go. The quality.
Yes.
That was actually the word I was looking
Yes.
for. The quality of the glass has improved throughout the years, and the different
100%.
artists that you brought in. And you go to California, right, to pick some of these pieces up sometimes?
Las Vegas.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no more Glass Vegas, so I'm kind of sad about that. But there's several other different events throughout the year that will allow us to still purchase that. American glass is kind of, the market's weird right now. It's a weird time for artists. It's a weird time for shops. Everybody's kind of in this limbo,
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, who the fuck has $10,000 to spend on a piece of glass?
I know. Yeah.
And so that's kind of where the shop's at right now with the value and stuff. So sometimes pieces sit, but when they sell, it's so exciting, and it makes me happy to be able to help somebody out or educate them on a heady, or a local piece of glass, because local's always better than production,
100%. That's the truth about most things. It's always going to be a better quality when you can get it more locally done. Yes. Slower process. Of course, manufacturing's made for a purpose, and that's to get it out quick with the best quality as possible. But it's not the best quality that you can get.
No.
So yeah, when you go through these artists, they hand make it, and sometimes you can get custom pieces that way too.
Yeah.
Very custom, exactly how you want it. Name whatever, or you want a custom piece and you allow them to create it, kind of thing. I love doing that, allowing the artist to really create, but sometimes challenging them really brings out a great piece too.
Yeah, they don't even give you an option. They just send you what color. You just tell them okay, like Chad Lacey. I'm like, I need 3 puffer fish. And then he's like, I don't ever pick a color. We just kind of get what we get.
Yeah.
But it's an honor. It's an honor to have a high-end artist that is well known.
Yeah. Because
having a piece of glass from a high-end artist who's well known makes it a heady. It's like having the MCM of glass.
Yeah.
Or it's beyond Louis Vuitton and Gucci. It's something more unique than that.
I agree. And so I guess we'll step back a little bit in history. What got you started into the glass and the heady community in general?
So I thought I knew what a heady was, and I would support these local artists: Isaiah Trujillo, Dome Piecer, Casto.
Yeah.
And then this guy called me one day, this guy named Rob Jett, who's my brother now. And he was like, hey, I got this RJ. I heard you had some dome piece toppers and whatnot. And so I traded him.
That's old school.
Old school.
Don't you? Damn.
You know? So we traded a couple Pandies and a Puffco and some stuff, whatever equaled the amount of value that he wanted for that RJ piece. Then RJ glass is well known. So then I bought an AKM from Jet, and it unleashed the beast, and now I have 5 AKMs. $54,000 worth of one artist is like pretty impressive for a woman and for anybody, you know, but for a woman here in this community and in the industry, because we're obviously, everybody knows it's a male dominated industry. It's like gives you a little, you know,
a little more pop on the collar.
Yeah, pop in the collar.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. It's kind of like when you see a really good woman grower too.
Yeah.
You know, you don't see a lot of women growing to start with, but when you see one, you're like, what? And then when they're really good growers, you're like,
what the heck? Let me get some of that.
I want some of that fire.
Yes, same thing. So it's been fun. It's been not too much of a struggle, but like, I mean, the first year I went to Glass Vegas, they didn't want to sell me glass because they thought I couldn't afford $1,400.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, hey, I bought an AKM on the way over here. And then their whole demeanor changed. But as the years went on, you make these relationships with these amazing artists and then you're in.
Yeah.
You know, but it just takes a little bit of footwork.
Yeah, you know, it's just like anything, you know, like
Yes.
my years of advocacy and stuff, like, you know, I've been doing this for almost going on 12 years now. You know, I didn't do it by just sitting there, not talking to people, not getting out there, not showing up, you know, to things that need to be shown up to.
Yes.
So yeah, it takes up that little bit of footwork, you know, to really get you there and to kind of, you know, progress you as, you know, whatever you want to do, not just as a person, you know, as a business owner, as a parent, as a cannabis enthusiast, you know, whatever it may be.
As a good human.
Yeah, it's good. You know, we
fuck.
all want to evolve, and humans were always changing, you know, and
Yes.
that's the beauty of it. So yeah, you know, but yeah, you know, that's really cool. I've always actually wondered how you got into the Haiti community. Like that's something I actually never knew.
Jet's fault.
It's Jet's
He
fault.
turned me into this.
Yeah.
And how there's no looking back, you know.
Yeah.
But it does give me like respect. And like one time he gave me this really good compliment and he was just like, you're not like any other shop. You're like one of those unique shops. He's like, you know how there's Targets and Walmarts and Macy's all over the place.
Yeah.
He's like, but there's no MCM, there's no Louis shops, there's no this. Your shop fits in that niche. And for him to tell me that, it was like a really great compliment because he doesn't butter you up. You know, it's like the truth or nothing.
Yeah.
And so building the shop and being able to sell expensive pieces of glass is an honor.
Yeah.
You know,
It
and
is.
to be able, it's an honor.
Yeah.
Like I don't know too many people that are still doing that here in our community,
Yeah.
you know, or in New Mexico for that
True.
fact.
Yeah.
You know,
Because
but
it's art, you know, at
It
the end of the
is.
day, it is art, you know, as simple as it may look and be sometimes, it's art. And sometimes those pieces take a long time to do. Every Thursday, me and Justin try to go live from Cruces Smoke Shop. And,
yeah, and he
you know,
knows the struggle of
Yeah.
working all these hours on a piece and then
yeah, bam, just, yeah,
try again. You
and
know?
like you could tell when he makes it, he kind of expects it sometimes. But he's been doing it for so long too that I don't even think he thinks about it anymore. But when it breaks, he's kind of like, "Whoa."
Check it to the game.
Yeah,
you know?
it is. That's the
What else
game
can
I
we do?
play.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you know, that's cool. And, you know, you are really in tune with the local art community too, not just, you know, with the glass community. You have, you know, the indigenous art stuff, which, you know, is really cool. Your shop is really filled with that.
Yes.
And I really love that.
Thank
And,
you.
you know, that's something that I could really appreciate, you know, just the fact of being art too on top of it.
Yeah.
Because it's really gorgeous art. If you guys ever have a chance to go to Queen Bee's, who was the artist that you had paint the walls?
The big wall of the mural of my kids is this guy Bet One, and all those native pieces on the back. There's like 10 pieces, you know,
Yeah.
like behind the counter. That's Bet One. He's from Echo Park, California. And then Cause, he's local New Mexican. He's like from Española.
Yeah.
He did the marijuana plant with the bees.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, and brought it all together. And I just needed a new look going into the dispensary versus like the smoke shop look.
Yeah.
Because in the smoke shop it was dark.
Mhm.
The murals were not, I mean, everybody saw the same thing for 6 years. And
Yeah.
I changed it up a little bit, added new stuff, but like I wanted people to come into the dispensary and the new shop and be like, oh, looks like a different shop.
Yeah,
And that's what I've got.
Yeah.
And it's like a beautiful reaction.
Yeah,
you
it is.
know? Yeah.
It is. It's gorgeous. And, walking in, there's so much. I think every time I've looked at those art pieces, I've seen something different every time.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of art that I really like and just with most things, it's really kind of pleasing just to go to it and be like, oh, wow, I didn't notice it the first time. And like there's just more that pops out to it because there's so much going on, but there's so much meaning to it.
Yes.
Too as well, which is great. And that's where art usually is. It's, it's expression through that, through whatever medium you choose. Right? But yeah, and it's great to see that because it's almost like a story. Your story of coming up and getting to your shop and getting it running because
yes,
we've known each other for a little bit now, and I've
it's slow and steady,
slow and steady. And I've watched you from this idea and the plan, all the way to now. You're up and running. And,
yes, and it seemed like it took forever. And the last time I was on your show, I don't even think I had the licenses, or maybe I had. We were still waiting for the special uses permit, and so it was like a 2-year struggle. And I don't know how many people like had to go through that 2-year struggle of like losing money to the state and whatever, the special uses permit, and then like being in an oversaturated spot is the craziest right now.
That is the craziest part because like when you were there, when you first got there, we didn't have legal cannabis, so it was like, oh, this seems like a good place.
I was the 7th smoke shop in Las Cruces, then 2 shut down, and I was the 5th.
Yeah.
Now there's over 20, but they all sell production glass, so that doesn't bother me. It just, nothing bothers me. I'm blessed, but in 1 square mile of Queen Bee's Collective, there's 15 dispensaries.
That is crazy.
15. And so many of them are from out of town. And I'm just like, okay. And I can't nag or whine or nothing, but I just feel like if our local community supported more local shops, that rooted from New Mexico.
Yeah.
Not that came from California, not that came from Oregon, not that came from Colorado, not these multi-billion-dollar companies that are coming in and like it means we're giving our money to another state still.
Yeah.
So how are we able to support our own sustainability as a community?
Yeah.
Like how?
Yeah.
If our money's still going out of state. I haven't sent my money out of state for a decade, like New Mexico.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make sense to me, but that's my gripe.
No, and you're really not. You're onto something there because there is a lot of out-of-state entities, and that's been the concern for years since we started this. And that's something that we kind of toyed with the idea. Okay, do we ban outside entities for a certain amount of time? Well, they're just going to get in somehow, like they did on the medical side, because that's where Swazi came from. Swazi, if you guys didn't know, is our Greenleaf and Everest. They actually were medical, then they got bought out while we were medical, and we still got a corporate company while we were there. The only crappy thing is we had closed licenses. So it's not like today where we have just, a free-for-all really. And we're kind of figuring it out and kind of leveling the playing field from there. And right now it hurts. Yeah, and that's the crappy part. And we have a lot of out-of-state entities. You guys shop wherever you want to shop. But, I try to shop local as possible. I do try to support Astrid where I can. Actually, I get my rosin from her. I go over
always fire.
Really good brands, and let's talk about that. What brands do you have for rosin over there?
So my favorite brand is Alabaster right now. Like I said earlier, we're gonna have the Unidos drop that we've been waiting for months. Like I have people hitting the DMs on a daily, like, when is the Unidos drop happening? When is the Unidos drop? Because it's organic fire and they keep their integrity for the plant.
Yeah.
We also have Resin Heads, which is a husband and wife. They're in Albuquerque. Then we have Honey Hole and Harvest. Those are probably like our best brands. Then we also have some lower tier stuff. We have Mesilla Valley Extracts and we have Cruces Craft. And I was a big supporter of Cruces Craft for years, you know, so that's why they sit on my shelf. And I'm just like, even if it's just one time.
Yeah, exactly.
But to be able to have it on the shelf was like, it was bittersweet, you know, just because whatever. But yeah, I try to focus on top shelf. only like to focus on things that I'll smoke.
Mhm.
Like we don't do solvents, we don't do BHO, we don't sell distillate.
Yeah.
And maybe the sales are a reflection of that because I'm not trying to just get a buck.
Yeah.
You know, I've been a med patient for 10 years.
Yeah.
So like quality cannabis is important. Clean cannabis is important. Like
Yeah.
something that's not going to make you feel sick or trippy or moldy or whatever the fact. Like I'm not bending prices and I'm not going to like drop to that $1 pre-roll. Like,
yeah, because some places went
doesn't
like
make
$2-3 per gram. You know, it's the race to the bottom right now.
yeah, it's the race to the bottom.
Yeah.
So slow and steady will win the race.
Yeah, of course.
You know, I don't know if it's going to take 1 year. I don't know if it's going to take 2 years. Only time will tell. But having both shops really keeps me balanced.
Yeah.
You know, being able to sell a heady and use the money for the dispensary.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, so it's like it all works for me.
Yeah, in the end, and I was going to make that point too because that's something smart. And I've seen a couple places do this. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a couple in Albuquerque and I think a couple in town that
Mhm.
attach a smoke shop to it, and it's smart.
Yes.
Because we forget that people forget.
Yeah.
You know, and
Everything.
yeah, you know, you'll have someone. We'll just give an example. They come from out of town.
Mhm.
You know, they want to go to the dispensary. Shit, I forgot a lighter. Oh, I need a pipe too. Oh, I need a grinder too.
Oh, I
need
broke my
papers.
bong.
Yeah, exactly. And so, you know, that $60 rosin purchase just turned into $250. You know,
Exactly.
because of everything else, and maybe they saw a pendy they liked. You know, or maybe they saw
Yes.
some other merch they liked. You know, you sell dime bags there too,
Yes.
as well as other merch and T-shirts and stuff. And then the art. Do you sell the art?
I mean, it's all for sale. It's pretty pricey.
Yeah.
Some people they're all over $1,000.
Okay.
So when somebody's like, "Oh, I like this piece," and I'm like, "Ooh, it's $12.50,"
Yeah.
and they're like, "Ugh, maybe not that much."
Yeah.
But it's from a known artist,
Yeah.
and like
They're very
just
good
like the
pieces.
headies,
Yeah.
like. There's a couple $10,000 pieces hidden in the back of the shop that nobody really knows about. Now everybody knows, but you know, that get overlooked a lot
Yeah.
of the times.
Yeah.
And like if somebody comes in, they're like, "Oh, well, how much is that one?" Sometimes I just like $200, and
Yeah.
you know, but deep inside, you're like, I can't really tell you the value because you know it's scary sometimes.
It is, you know, like even when you're trying to work in the industry as a contractor like myself, sometimes, you know, telling people my price can be a little daunting for me because I could lose out on it or that, you know, chance to get paid because it's too high for them. But that's my price, you know, like I
When
can't.
people know the quality, then they come, and that's what
Exactly.
I've established. And
Yeah.
I've heard several different little whispers like, "Her weed's too expensive" or whatever. But hey, I already dropped the prices once, and that's as far as they're going. But it's top shelf. You could
Yeah.
get a top shelf eighth of organic living soil weed on a Tuesday for $32.
Yeah.
You know, like I've personally never bought a fire top shelf eighth that wasn't dry or wasn't not terpy for $32 anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, it's always been a little dry and $50 or more. I paid $75 and I'm like, 32 fucking dollars, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
And then you do the regular, you know, veteran discounts, you know, of
Mhm.
course, medical.
Yes,
You don't pay taxes
always.
if you're medical. I'm
You
gonna
don't
kick
pay
that dead horse till
taxes.
it's powdered. You know, you're not charging the taxes there with the medical patients. And one thing, speaking of, you know, I look at everybody's sales. I looked at yours, and yours is a rare case where your medical sales are higher than your rec sales,
That's
which tells
fire.
me that's because and I love that too.
Fire.
That means you're catering to the patients.
yes.
You know, and like you're really ensuring, because like I looked at it, there was a time where it was, you know, when you first started, but it looks like the patients have really started
Come
to take
back.
over and they come back and they go there. So, you know, it seems more patient centric, and I like that. You know,
Yes.
I really appreciate that. You know, and I think eventually it will catch on because we should see our numbers kick back up eventually.
Yeah.
In the medical program, because once people start not wanting to pay tax.
And there's people who are offering med cards for free.
Yeah.
Or they charge your insurance.
Yeah.
Or to renew is $40. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I paid $300 10 years ago to get mine.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
paid
and I had
200.
to go see a shrink for a year.
Yeah, I did too, dude.
They're like, we need to make sure that you're crazy before we even consider you a part of the program. And I was just like, dude, how many different numbers do you want?
Dude, I know, like, and like, we needed like 2 doctors' signatures, and
It was wild.
it was a
It took me a
mess.
whole year to get my card.
Yeah.
10 years ago with Dr. Chavez.
And then they
you know?
wanted you to renew like 30 or 90 days out or something like that.
Yeah,
Like, something
before it
ridiculous.
expired.
Yeah.
And it was only 1 year.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like now it's like 2 years.
Yeah.
They've made it so easy.
Oh, it's
So
digital
like
now.
it's so easy.
Yeah.
Like I preach it and I give my med card ladies number to probably a few people every week because I'm like, dude, it's $20 to taxes. You
Yeah.
know, you wouldn't have to pay that. This
Yeah.
is the price out the door. and then they're like, some rethink it, some have got it, and I mean, just I love the medical community.
I do
Not to
too.
say I don't love the rec community,
Yeah.
but like I love us.
And we have one of the better medical cannabis programs in the nation. You know, like
Yeah.
the way that it's ran and the way that, you know, we did it. I'm not talking about quality of the cannabis. I mean, just the way that it's structured. You
Right.
know, and some states got rid of their medical program, you know, after they went rec, which I feel is a shot in the foot, because now we have Schedule 3 on the horizon. New Mexico's good, but say like Colorado, who pretty much just decimated their medical program, they're going to be scrambling again to get another medical program.
That's crazy.
So that's something that we did a favor for ourselves in strengthening our medical program versus weakening it.
Mhm.
And I think that was a good route that we went,
Yeah.
because it was so strict before too.
And
was
it's not
crazy.
that bad to have your card. It's
No.
like it protects you.
Yeah, you get more legal protections.
Exactly.
Yeah, you have actually as an even versus being a 21 adult user and a medical cannabis like card holder, you have more legal protections. Even as a parent, you have more legal protections as a medical card holder.
That's why I got my card 10 years ago, because I'm a single parent.
Yeah.
You know, so like it protected me from everything.
Yeah,
Like
100%.
basically, like
Yeah.
no, you can't point the finger at you no more. You got a doctor's signature.
Exactly.
And we had to get a real doctor's signature.
Yeah.
You know?
It wasn't just, you know, the guy in flip flops and a, you know, tie dye
on the video.
thing.
On the video, like, hey, let me approve you right now.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, yeah.
So
There's good times. We've come a long way, and this is the beginning of a new era for our people.
Yeah.
And I feel like humans like you and myself and Josh and Jet and beautiful, the ones that provide that beautiful energy are gonna they're gonna write books about us.
Yeah.
You know, however you want to think about it. This is like the beginning of the straight legal cowboy days.
yeah, this
You
is
know,
historic.
so,
You know, the time we're
this
in right
is
now.
a very
Yeah.
historical time for us, and like to be able to smoke in this consumption lounge here at this place.
Yeah.
And not get in fucking trouble.
It's great, and
You know, like
it's accepted. You know,
And
it's
it's
socially accepted.
yeah.
Which is the best part. You know, like, well, for the most part.
Yeah.
It's great. Just so you know, I'm looking over here and I'm seeing everybody just enjoying it. You know, all those years of work and everything have
Me
paid off
too.
because now people have real freedom. You know,
Yes.
and real freedom to choose, and
Not
that's
get in
great.
trouble.
Yes, 100%. Not get in trouble. So, but yeah, we got off the conversation of your shop. I wanted to, you know, ask a couple more questions about it before we got on to other topics. But you and I do that. We tend to do that. You know, well, we're getting secondhand over here.
We need the first hand. Bring it over.
So, like, what are your plans for the shop and everything? Are you gonna do a grow or maybe a consumption lounge, or what's your plans?
It's all in the air right now. The next plan is probably going to be some sort of manufacture
Yeah.
part. I have all the licenses. I just need to utilize them all, and in time we will.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm just one human, so I try to be like this superhuman
Yeah.
on top of being a mom and like a dog mom and everything else. You know, just life. But yeah, that other space is going to be utilized properly.
Yeah.
And it's probably going to be manufactured first, and eventually, hey, I need a grower. My grower went crazy, so you know, I'm telling the truth. It's ideal because the grow helps the whole project.
Yeah.
And then you become more self-sufficient that way.
Mhm.
So you don't have to go seek other products. But dude, I love to smoke good weed. You know, I
And
love
then
to smoke good flower, good rosin. Like I'm not a grower,
Yeah.
you know, and I'm not a washer. So
Mhm.
I appreciate these brands that are keeping it together. And there's only a few, there's only a handful that aren't using synthetic salt
Mhm.
and like are doing organic living soil.
Yeah.
Other than that, everybody's just trying to make a buck. And I'm just like, I'm kind of more leaning towards the healing part of the plant.
Yeah.
You know, just
And that's what we need.
yes.
Yeah.
Because
You know,
we've all got stoned for years.
Yeah.
You know, but when you really break down the medicine and the power of it and what it can do for you as a human or as a med patient, as a, however you want to put it, pain, mental, whatever. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing.
and I
you know?
appreciate you know, being the healer in that instance, because most
trying.
people are just the pusher.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're not.
But
the
I'm
pusher.
not the pusher.
Yeah.
I'm like, so they'll ask my honest opinion, and usually sometimes I lose a sale from it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, dude, but I want you to come back and be like, oh, but if I'm like, if you there's only 2 strains in the whole shop I won't smoke. You know, that's our $50 specials. But
So what's the $50 special?
Thursdays we have $50 ounces. They're all nug. They're not shake. Some of it's Depo. The one I'm getting next is indoor smalls.
Okay.
So I just.
So even the ounces you sell, are better quality sometimes than the other ounces that are cheaper in other places too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think people just need to know that I'm open.
Yeah.
A lot of people still don't know.
Yeah.
I still have gallery signs outside the shop. We do have a flag, but like it's not. It's still taking off.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And I'm confident that the shop is gonna do amazing.
Yeah. It's only been a few months.
Yeah, it's only been a few months. We have a halfy website, queenbeescollective.com. It has our specials. It will have our pictures of flower hopefully this week, and the headies will be posted on there.
Perfect.
But yeah, it's lack of advertising. I put my whole soul into opening the dispensary.
Yeah.
And it took me long. It took me 2 years. So for 2 years, I really focused on getting the shop open, So I kind of of course I still I have headies and I still appeal to that community, but I really, really focused on the dispensary, and it damn near took my soul.
Well, all that work and the waiting and determination paid off.
Thank you.
It did, and now you're operating, and it's great, to see that you're more patient-centric. Most places aren't patient-centric.
It's a blessing. It's a blessing to be able to serve the people and to serve the people with quality. And I feel like if people kept their integrity, it would be different, but it's not.
Yeah,
we all know what it is, and it is what it is.
I had a conversation with about this with someone, a few days ago, and I said, right now we're at the very beginning of our industry, and we're dealing with a lot of people that went from an illegal industry to a legal one. So now they don't know how to operate on this legal side.
No.
So you have people that are either going to get out or they're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
And we're not at that point where they've figured it out yet. We're still on that point where people are still applying, traditional market things to, something that is illegal.
It's annoying.
Yeah.
It's annoying.
Yeah.
It's an annoyance for me because I'm just like,
me too.
Pick a fucking side, please.
Yeah.
And either rock with it or don't rock with it.
Yeah.
And it's just and it makes things harder for us. For these smaller my business is a mom business. It's a small woman-owned, indigenous woman-owned entity. And I did everything in my power to do it right.
Yeah.
And to keep doing it right. And not to bend my integrity or cut a corner, because I'm low-key scared of CCD. You want me to be honest with you, they'll snatch your fucking license.
Yeah.
And everything you worked hard for and everything you did and all the sacrifices you made gone like that in an instant. So yeah.
And a lot of people don't realize, what they're playing with. It's playing with napalm. That shit's sticky and it doesn't come off.
And then they think that they're not going to get caught is the most funniest.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and that's where the napalm comes in, because it's on you, and that's not going away. So yeah, they think that they're going to get away with it, but the CCD controls the tracking system. If you think you're being slick about it, they already know about that little thing that you're trying to do. And the reason why I know is because I've been told.
Yeah.
If
you have questions, you got to ask this man right here. He knows. Anytime I have a question, I'm like, Chad, what do I do here? Sometimes directs me to CCD, sometimes finds me the answer, and it's just
Yeah.
So thank you.
Of course.
Helping me.
Of course. I try to help as many people as I can. Of course, there's times where I don't have the time and I'll have to charge. I try to do it, for free as much as I can, especially with people local. But if it's out of town kind of thing, it's like, bro, I gotta go there. So if you do want my help, and unfortunately sometimes I do have to charge it, especially if you're out of town. But I'm more than willing to help. That I really want to see this industry thrive. I really want people to thrive, but I want to see the people that are willing to do the work to make it thrive, and not cut the corners, bring in California product, getting popped, and then you're on the radar of the CCD probably forever.
Forever.
Forever. They're going to be looking at you forever.
All those pounds that got transported in CC, in the system in the beginning, there were probably, we don't know, guesstimating hundreds of thousands of pounds. you know, because there was such a gray area.
Yeah.
And people were like, oh yeah, let's do this. Oh yeah, let's do this. Like,
I had a joke. I was like, man, those 12-hour autoflowers are something else, aren't they?
Dude, seriously, I'm like, where's the grow? I want to see the grow for your product.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, Queen Bee, you're crazy.
I'm
like,
I'm like, where do these pounds come from?
How are you washing all this rosin?
Yeah.
But you don't gotta grow.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
there was a lot of shadiness that was going on, and like, you know, the state was kind of just, you know, at the beginning they were figuring everything out, trying to get the rules. But yeah, there was a lot that I was like, you've got to be shitting me. Why are we doing that? But yeah, you know, it's something that eventually will level itself out, and a lot of those people that don't belong in the industry will eventually get out, or they'll get filtered out. You know, they'll be forced to leave, you know, due to the CCD cracking down on them, which is happening a lot now. I go to the enforcement's website quite a bit, and sometimes it breaks my heart to see who's on there. Yeah, it does. And I'm dreading to see some other names that might pop up soon on that list. But at the same time, fair is fair. You know, if you messed up, you messed up.
Don't be a dummy.
Yeah, just don't be dumb. Try to do it right. You know, some places are just blatantly doing it wrong.
I just don't know how they're getting away with it.
I don't
but
either.
I'm just like, it's nothing for me to be a hater about, or it's nothing for me to put energy about. And I'm just worried about keeping my little hive going.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, one thing I will say about government is a lot of the times if they allow you to do it, they're just creating a case on you.
Mm-hmm.
And so these places that think they're getting away with it, they just got a case that's getting bigger and bigger. Because you see those places that have like 15 violations, 20 violations. I have a feeling they're going to be that, maybe more. You know, the places that they're just building these big cases on. So we'll see what happens. But before we move on, I want to, you know, give an opportunity to, you know, where can people find you online and in person?
600 South Solano is where the shop is, the corner of Kansas and Solano, catty corner to Carl's Jr. You can find us on Instagram, queenbees_New Mexico. You can also, we have a website, it's queenbees.com. I should double check that. Queenbeescollective.com.
There
Sorry.
you go.
There it is. I'm like, wait, this is new. But that is in progress. Soon, like I said, we'll have our menu up and we'll have the headies up. And yeah, come see me. There's all kinds of specials. First time customers. I give so much stuff away because the community embraces, like, not to say they expect it, but like, who doesn't like free shit?
Yeah.
You're
like, always willing.
It's an incentive. Yeah, it's an incentive. I'm like, any kind of discount you can get there. You know,
she works with you.
There. Yes, I'll work with you. I'll take your last $20.
You should be the Queen Bee's Bazaar.
Seriously. Well, before I had the dispensary, I had like 50 local vendors in the shop, like incense, soap, glass, earrings, hats, shirts, so many different. And that's when I wanted to make a collective. You know, I wanted to call it the collective because it's just a collective of a bunch of fire products. Yeah. Like, really, I mean, great stuff. Plus, you can get your cheap stuff and whatnot. But yeah, when people go in there and they're like, "Oh, what do you got for the $50 ounces?" And I'm like, "Let me show you the fire." Because this is what we're known for. This is what people are like, her weed's too expensive. Not everybody can afford to go to Queen Bees. And I'm just saying, it's not a shop for everybody. Yeah. Like, I hate to say that. It's a small batch craft cannabis heady shop. Yeah. You know, so yeah.
Not everybody can shop at Apple.
Come out the pocket. You got to be ready to come out the pocket. Yeah. But we do also have affordable things too, and discounts. And I've made it, I'm telling you, top shelf for $30. Yeah. When is that heard of?
And it's not expensive for no reason. It's not like you're buying it for $800 a pound and then selling it for the higher end price. You know, it's stuff that you're paying for. You know, like you're paying top dollar for.
If I told you the top dollar prices, you'd be like, Trey, you know?
Yeah, don't tell me now. I don't want to yell at you on live air.
You know, but it's the quality. Yeah. You're right. I'll take quality over quantity any day.
Yeah. And, 100%. You know, I've found as a consumer myself that, you know, versus buying like a $20, $50 ounce and like, you know, getting a half ounce for like $100, $150, I have a more enjoyable time and experience, and medication is better with the higher end one. The lower end one, I'd probably use that for edibles. You know, like it'd probably be good for edibles.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a lot of times what I do, you know, but some people, they like the shake. They'll take their bowl in there, scoop it out and smoke it. And to me, that's what you want to do.
Cardboard.
Cool, but,
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I love everybody.
Yeah,
and
that's what you want to do. By all means. Yeah. By all means, if you want to do it, do it. You know, it's just, I just don't partake. So, But yeah, but anyway, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been
Thank
a
you
great
for having me.
conversation. Yeah,
Yes.
you did amazing.
Thank you.
And I wish you nothing but luck for the shop and everything. It's evolving. Just give it time. Keep
Slow and
catering to the
steady, baby.
patients.
Slow
Yeah.
and steady.
Heck yeah. And as a patient, I appreciate you catering to the patients.
Yes, thank you.
That's something that you don't see a lot.
That's my goal.
Yeah, 100%. Heck yeah.
I don't care about being a millionaire, but it would be nice. No, but like just being able to provide quality product to my community is a blessing.
Yeah.
And to be able to take the footsteps of my ancestors, like who were also healers.
Yeah.
So yeah, gotta do my job. It's in my DNA.
Yeah, same here. I just want to see something good for my state, my people. So that's why I'm still here. Heck yeah.
Fighting for us.
Heck yeah. So, well, let's move on to the conversation and everything. Thank you again, Astrid. Check her out here in Las Cruces, guys. She's on Solano, which AKA is the Green Mile of Las Cruces.
Green Mile.
So we're going to move on with the next conversation. We're going to talk about cannabis and kids. And actually, there's a few conversations within this, the sub conversations of this I want to talk about too. And there was a study that came out recently, and it's talking about the last 10 years has been a significant drop of kids using cannabis, which is great to hear because we were being told the opposite this entire time by, people opposing cannabis legalization. Kids are going to use it more, this and that. Drug driving is going to be 10 times worse. There's just going to be nothing but stone zombies on the street. That happened with fentanyl, but not cannabis, unfortunately. So what the study is telling us is that those fears and everything were exactly that. They were just fears, and it was just a lot of reefer madness, misconception that was being thrown around. And you're a parent yourself. I mean, what have you seen, even with like kids' friends and stuff like that, and the trend of that?
One of my kids goes to a public high school, and she went to a public middle school. She's a sophomore now, but I don't know where they're getting information about the decline, but all these kids get caught smoking weed out every day. But they're smoking synthetic vapes from the streets. One of my daughter's friends got sick from smoking a fentanyl vape for 3 months. So then she started having withdrawals, and then they tested her and she was positive for fentanyl. And she said, I've only been buying this same cart from this kid, and it made her sick. So now they're lacing marijuana with fentanyl. Why? I don't know if they're trying to kill the kids or what, but the public school system's crazy, and I don't know if it's what's going on with the kids or if it's like their surroundings or what, but it's definitely alive. I get to see it. I just get to hear about it. And so like I'm crazy. So I have a lot of expectations for my children. And it's rough right now for the kids. And I don't know if it's ever gonna go away. I think it's easier now because they get to smoke those fruity carts that taste good. When we were kids, we were sneaking joints and we get caught because it was stinky. You know,
like you come back smelling like
that Mexican compact brick. And now it's a little. I guess I don't know where they're taking the numbers from. I don't know. I'd like to read that article.
Well, I have the numbers here in stats, and I was going to read some off. I just want to give some information on the topic of the article. It dropped significantly, but it wasn't like 50% drop. It was more like a 10-15% drop, which is still significant. But the alarming rate is still that kids are still using cannabis at a higher rate than they probably should. But the drop is great within the last 10 years. Now, this is a national study. One of the caveats I will say, it's a national study, and they had the kids self-report. So so when the kids self-report, or anybody self-report, sometimes you get wonky results. But at the same time, my dad was a teacher for 25 something years, and he retired probably about 4 years ago. And he told me the issue that he had actually with alcohol. He ran into alcohol significantly more than he did with cannabis. And actually, I'll read some of the results right here with the numbers. I'm sure you guys are kind of confused. So the CDC is the one who reported this. And it says the decline a portion of high school students reporting past month cannabis use over the past decade as dozen states moved, cannabis legalization. As of 2023, 70% of high school students reported using cannabis the past month. That's down from 23% in 2013. So it's down significantly, but 17 and 23% are still pretty high numbers when you look at that. However, it's good to see that it's a drop, which means maybe in 30 years we'll get it under 10%, which is kind of like laughable, but that's still a lot of kids that aren't using any substance, when they shouldn't be, and
But there is other substances, like now that you
that's
say
on
that,
here. Yeah,
like
that's on
alcohol
here.
and pills is
Yes.
a huge factor in schools right now.
It is. And that's actually on here too. And I wanted to mention that as well, because cannabis wasn't the only thing that they studied. This study comes out every 2 years, and they go with cannabis, other drugs, alcohol, and pills. And so they do have all the stats here, and I'll read it to you guys and share it, because it's good that this is dropping, but again, still alarming that it's this high. So let's see. So notably, male students, and they're going male, female. I guess they had a drop over the past decade from 25% to 15%, which is actually a lot. And that's between male. With the females, a little bit different. They went from 22% to 19%. So it seems like they use it at a higher rate.
Yeah.
Which makes sense to me. I do remember some girls, even in middle school, would use it for cramps. And they would be like, no, it really helps with my cramps. Because some people are like, hey, you want to smoke? She's like, no, like this girl's really smart about it. She's like, no, I just use it for my cramps. And I was like,
smart.
What? And I didn't even know that was
But
a
it
thing.
works.
Yeah, I didn't even know it was a thing. This is like 2000. So, like we barely know much about cannabis as is back then. Like, no, she's like, I use it for cramps. I'm like, interesting. So poor girl must have had really bad cramps that she had to resort to cannabis. So I'm thinking that that's the reason why that percentage kind of remains higher, but it's kind of interesting to see both of them were similar, but the males dropped, boom, that much,
Yeah.
Now let's talk about alcohol. So alcohol is on a decline too, but it's not as much as cannabis is what it seems like. I'm looking for the number for that, and I just keep seeing cannabis. I'm like, wait, where'd I put it? So once I find the alcohol one, I'll let you guys know. But they do have pills on here too. That one's dropped a little bit, but it wasn't as high as like cannabis. It was under 10%, like the pills. But that's dropped too, I think, by a couple percentages, which is good. No one should really be using pills like the way that they've been abused the past decade or so.
No.
So that's great to see. And it was also alarming at the same time, because I had a realization that there's so many kids that are dealing with like addiction like issues right now.
Of course.
And it's not just with this, it's with alcohol. It's with fentanyl. It's with the pills. It's, with other things too. So this drop is great. It's good. It means we're making progress. But at the same time, we need to make more progress. We need to talk to the kids more. We need to educate them more. That means that the way that we're educating is starting to work. Instead of going the DARE route. You remember DARE. For those of you that don't remember DARE,
that was scary.
It was scary. They just scared the shit out of us. That's all they did. They just literally sat there and told you drugs are all going to kill you. Marijuana's bad. And then we find out cannabis isn't bad. And then they're like, well, what else isn't bad? And
I had to rewire my kid's brain because at school they're learning DARE and their mom smokes weed.
Yeah.
And I was like, listen, I have a card. This kid was given to me by a doctor.
Yeah.
But it's like the stereotype.
Yeah.
100%. And I feel like if you feel like your child needs a little bit of herb, get them a med card.
Yeah.
Like it's almost as easy. Well, I think you have to go through a little bit more. You have to show the trauma and like the doctor visits, but I've seen patients as young as 14 years old on the medical cannabis program. Like,
because their parents are the caregivers. Yeah.
Yes.
They can be
and so if your parents are caregiver and your parents like if you want to help your kid, they're going to do it anyways, like make them legal. So it covers you on both ends. Like, you can't have
and for the people out there too, yes, kids shouldn't be using cannabis until their brains are mature, but if they need it medicinally.
Yeah,
like
medicinally.
There are kids who use cannabis medicinally. There's kids who use it for cancer. There's kids, like I said, there's girls who use it for cramps. And those kids, they should have a medical cannabis card. And the parents should be aware and administer the cannabis whenever. And I think schools, that's something we changed in the medical program before we went rec, was we allowed schools the ability, and I don't know if any have, to administer cannabis for the kids. So
really?
They can have their prescription at the school, and the nurse would be the one to administer the cannabis.
So you just go to the nurse's office, take a toke, and go back to go.
Well, it had to be tincture form, but essentially, you go and get your dose and go back to school class, which is, it's just cool to hear, cool to see.
It is cool to hear and see.
Yeah, it is. So the schools out there, if you have students who really need it, please allow them to do it. Go the nurse route. That's really what it's there for. So I did find the alcohol numbers. So that went from 35% to 22%.
Oh, that's a good
that
drop.
is a very good drop.
That's a
And it was really alarming that it was at 35% in the first place, because that's really high. And this is self-reporting. That means that it's probably higher than what we're finding out in the study. But 35% to 22, that's actually really good. And that's a 10-year span.
That is good.
Opioids are in here too. This says 12% of students in 2023 said they had ever misused opioid prescriptions. So 12%. And I think it dropped to 7%. Okay, so now it's under 10%. So I had
That's great.
Yeah, I misunderstood.
So many kids died in the last few years.
Yeah. And and my parents, being teachers, unfortunately, they had to endure some of that, and that really affects the other students.
Like 100%, it's traumatic.
Yeah, and some of those kids, really affects them bad. Because I remember being in middle school, and I think one of the kids, fortunately, it was like a freak car accident or something, and it affects people. It really messes people up, especially the close friend groups, the families, and all that. And they're so young that processing that kind of trauma is really hard on them. So it goes tenfold. So this is something that throughout the years, maybe after this study keeps going, we'll see more drops. Parents, keep on educating your kids. Let them know that once they're an adult, they can choose whatever the hell they want to do. But while they're young,
just wait.
Yeah, while you're young, give yourself a chance.
Yeah, let your brain grow.
Yeah, you get one body, you get one brain. Let it mature until you figure out what you want to do with it.
Because then, man, you have to work really hard to bring it back.
Yeah, you're telling me, man. After Iraq,
hard to bring it back.
Yeah. So really think about it, and if there happens to be anybody that is in a younger age watching my show, just take advice from us. Just wait till you're older, enjoy your youth. Don't rush growing up, because then you end up liking Pokemon at 37 like me.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, it's just a joke I wanted to tell. I love you some Pokemon. But yeah, I really want to talk about that, because the kids and just drugs in general, is a conversation that we run into all the time, and I kind of feel that we don't talk about it enough. And I try to. I just don't want to kick the dead horse too much on it.
Right.
But when something like this comes up, a study like this, I really want to talk about it.
It's important.
It's so kids out there, good job saying no to drugs is really what I'm saying. Because that's a good
Marijuana
drop.
is not a drug, though.
It can be a
Cannabis
medicine.
is not a drug.
Yeah.
It's federal, or however you want to say it, it's recognized as a medicine.
Yeah, it's recognized.
As long as we don't abuse it.
Yeah.
But,
if you need it, you need it. By all means, like I said, we've said before, there are children and teenagers that are in our program because they need it. And I would rather my nephews use cannabis versus
or Ritalin.
Or
like things or Adderall, the things that keep them zombied.
Yeah,
I'd
rather than be on cannabis or something
CBD.
else. Yeah,
CBD is great.
Yeah.
CBD is. I still have so many people who come to the shop for CBD.
CBD is still
CBD is amazing.
one of those things, and now we're getting into the CBG and all the other compounds, the CBN. Yeah. You're telling me. I like to call it CB Go. Because it's kind of boom.
Okay. Back to life, back to reality.
Exactly. It's like boom, and then the CBN, that's CB night. It helps you with the sleep.
Right.
So we're finding all these other compounds and everything that we're exploring, and it's not just THC. There's other stuff in there that we could really help you. And you don't get high with CBD, so
No.
Yeah, exactly.
It just takes away the paranoia.
Yeah.
And stops that racy brain.
Yeah. And some of these kids are already taking opioids like crazy and harder drugs than cannabis. So
that's so sad.
Hopefully switch to something else. Yeah, exactly. And that's something that, worries me about our youth, is that, we're creating drug addicts for the wrong reasons, and it's slowly changing. Even at the VA, it's changing. They're kind of going more naturalistic with certain things, which is great, versus just pounding pills down your throat. So we're looking at other avenues of how to heal. And I'm really excited to see what the future has for it, especially for the kids and seeing these numbers drop.
That's good.
And now
drop is good. Any kind of drop is good.
Yeah, 100%. Like seeing it, over 10% for the opioids, and then dropping under 10% significantly. That's actually good to see too. So we don't need to see any more kids, suffer. So
no.
Shout out to the parents out there doing their due diligence and being parents.
Yeah.
So,
hug your kids.
Yeah.
Hug them while you can hug them.
Yeah.
Tell them you love them, because geez.
Yeah, because they're only young once.
They're only young once, and then they're like teenagers.
It's crazy. So anyway, we're gonna move on the conversation. We'll talk about the last thing, and it's something that's kind of near and dear to my heart, because consumption lounges were my baby. I worked on SM 104. It was a government or governor sanctioned task force when we were medical to update the medical laws. And one of the things that I was tasked with, and I've talked about this before on the podcast, was consumption lounges. And so a lot of the language that is in there was a part of what I'd worked on. Of course, a lot of it got taken out. But the spirit of it is still there. Not everything of the spirit, but some of the spirit is still there. And I really wanted to talk about it because we're sitting in a consumption lounge right now. I'm here at least once a week.
Yeah.
So I'm getting to see how this one in particular operates, because we haven't had a standardization of anything really when it comes to the industry on how it should work. And one example I'll give is here at consumption lounges we have bongs, right? They're glass. We use glass like crazy, and I hate comparing cannabis and alcohol together, but there are certain times where I can't not, because we use glass. And who uses glass? Bars. They use glasses too. And so they have a process that is standardized on how to clean the glasses. When I was a bartender, you have the 3 tubs. You have the scrub one, and then you have the sanitized one, and then you have the rinse. And then it goes up and it dries, or whatever, dry it off and use it. That's the standardization for every bar, to clean the glasses. That doesn't exist on the consumption lounge side for anything at all when it comes to cleaning or any of that. So there's going to be a point where we're going to have to get there. And I kind of feel right now is a good time for us to start, because there's not that many consumption lounges to start with. Right. So like here at Monster House, this would be a great place to start figuring out, okay, what do we want to start with standardization? Like, where are we going to start with this? One thing that I was thinking, I had this conversation with Justin today and Hash of the Holy. We were alive, and that's actually where the idea of this part of my story came from, was that conversation. I was like, you know what, this is important to talk about, because a few people have talked about it. I want to bring my own product in, I want to bring my own glass in, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm going to give you guys reasons why, they don't allow that, and it's probably not a good idea, but also ways that you might be able to, if certain things change, of course. So when it comes to glass, you have over here, they're cleaning all the glass. They do a really good job of trying to clean it. However, there's certain times where maybe someone isn't as trained, or maybe someone just having a bad day and they didn't clean it right. So if you guys know what a zong is, actually, if I can get their attention, I'll get one and show you guys. But a zong, it's pretty much like a Z-shaped bong, and there's a lot of crevices and cracks you got to clean on that. If you don't clean it right, you're going to end up with alcohol left over. You're going to end up with water left over, stagnant water.
And ash.
And
ash in there.
And ash in there. So those are a lot harder to clean. I love zongs. I own a zong. I smoke out of it every day. But when it's in an environment like a consumption lounge where it's move, you're seeing customers all the time, it becomes harder to keep that same standard of cleaning for that. So I was talking to Justin. I said, it may come to the point where we may have to standardize our smoking devices to be, one, easy to use, easy to clean and sterilize, and the longevity of it. And so it may have to be a little more simple for that fact. Like, instead of like a zong or like a beaker, a straight tube with no ash catcher. It's just easy, pretty much like a bar
clean
thing.
Every day.
However,
or clean every time after each person uses it.
And that's what they do here, actually. After every use, a person uses it or a group uses it, whatever, they clean it and it gets washed and it gets clean. It's great. However, there's one more step we have to actually add in the cannabis industry, and that's adding something to strip off the residue of the bong. You don't have that in the bars. You have human oil, of course, and lipstick, but that is nothing like, bong resin or, cannabis resin.
ISO.
Yeah, ISO. So we're all going to need something to do that. So in our step, we're going to have 4 steps. We're going to have the scrub clean. We're going to have the sterilize. Then we're going to have to get off all the other crap on there, and that might come before all the other stuff too. And then we're going to have to rinse. So that's going to have to become standard, because people are going to get sick. And then you're going to have people who are immune compromised. They're going to come around and they're going to try to use this device, and they're going to get sick. And that's where people bring in the argument of, well, why can't I bring my own device? And I say that would be great. The only concern that I can see right away is them saying, well, I don't know if you used an illegal substance with it before you came in. I don't know if that device is actually clean. And you could get another guest sick, and then I get blamed for it. Or some other worry that we can come up with. There's millions of them. However, the way you can get around that is you have someone at the door checking, bags, whatever. They check the pipe, make sure it's clean, make sure there's no chips. Because even, having a chip on there, you may be aware of it, forget to tell someone, and they injure themselves, and cut their lip, whatever it may be. The crazy things happen. So that's one way to get around it, is have someone just check the pipe, whatever the fuck, that same thing. Now, here's the other thing about the consumption lounges that a lot of people brought up to me, is not being able to bring your own product. And because sometimes you may not like the product that's there for you.
Doesn't that lounge in Albuquerque allow you to do that?
I'm not sure.
Because I've seen like different people smoke their headies in there.
So that is up to the lounge itself if they want to allow that.
Okay.
So there's really no like state
So
law.
we can allow people to bring their own methods. Their own devices to smoke.
No, I haven't read all the rules on it from the state, but there's no law against that. And so what I think it is up to the business owner, unless the CCD has come up with some law or regulation, which there might be. I don't know. I'll probably dig into it after this and go down a rabbit hole and read everything for the consumption lounge stuff. But as of what I know is it's really up to the owner on how that goes and operates and everything. And a lot of stuff that goes on with these consumption lounges is up to the owner and the management because there's just no standardization whatsoever. We're figuring this out, which is the beauty of it.
Right.
We're figuring this out now, but there's things that we have to keep in mind. You know, like we don't want people to get sick. We want people to have a great time. And we don't want people to get hurt. And we want them to spend money. You know, that's the reason why they're there. But at the same time, I have that medical thing in my mind where consumption lounges, when I first came up with the idea with the group I was in, it was for everyone and everyone, anywhere and everywhere. And what that meant was it was supposed to be like near a military installation where military spouses who have a medical cannabis card could go there, use their cannabis, store it, leave, you know, or someone who lives on a reservation, you know, student housing, government housing, a landlord that just won't let you consume at home. That's what these were originally for. It wasn't essentially you go there and buy. It was meant for you to bring your stuff, whatever, and you would pay like a membership fee.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. And that was the other idea of if you were to bring your own device and your own product, you pay a fee, like, you know, at the door, $20, whatever you want to charge, you know, and if they still want to buy, you could probably still let them buy, but you know, if you want to bring your own thing, charge them, you know, and that's the way you get your money back. If you know, because most places don't charge you to use their devices either. So, you know, there's no money being made there to start with. So if you charge them that, you're making money.
Yeah.
So
we need to open up a heady consumption lounge.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, that's kind of cool.
You want to smoke out of a $10,000 bong? $20. So put some fire hazard out.
You want to rent out a $5,000 bong?
You want to rent it out? There's liability.
Yeah, liability. So you got to do a down payment.
Only if you can afford to touch it. But I understand that. I know that one in Albuquerque does that.
Really?
It seems like the boys do little sessions in there.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I'll have to check that one out. I haven't been to any consumption lounges in Albuquerque yet.
Neither have I.
Yeah, I wanted.
Well, I got kicked
out
of Soul when Soul first opened.
And that's when they were just figuring. That's when that was the only consumption lounge like in the state. So they were just figuring it out, like what they how and what they want to do with it. That's where a lot of these. That's where a lot of the ideas come from. Of, you know, you can't bring your own stuff in because
but it was black rosin. That's what I got kicked out for telling them their product was crap because they were trying to give me a dab with some black. It looked like black tar rosin, and I was just like, they were like, it's plant rosin. And I'm like, that's not how rosin's supposed to look. And then they were like, I just told them I used my being a med patient as like my defense. Like, how are you gonna like not care about the integrity of the plant for your med patients? Like, how are you gonna serve this to people? And they're like, get out of here, Queen Bee. And I was just like, I was gonna smoke your shit anyways. But I mean, you know, that's why I like how you said, how can you regulate somebody bringing their own meds in or bringing their own rig in? Is it like only you can smoke it? Don't let nobody else touch it. You know, is it like on lines like that? Because then you're worried about like what you're saying, germs and whatnot. But
because there's liability within everything. The only thing we can do is just mitigate it to where it's rare that it happens. You know, it's gonna happen. I wish it wouldn't, but it's gonna happen. But if we take certain steps, we'll mitigate it to the point where it's a rare occurrence that it does happen. Because someone's going to bring it in, like happens at the bars all the time. People bring shooters into the bar all the time.
Or doobies too.
Doobie, whatever. Yeah, it happens all the time, you know? And so I think with us on the cannabis side, we need to start just embracing certain things and kind of.
And supporting it and educating people properly. If you just educated people, if people just listened for 2 seconds, you know, like 2 seconds will turn into like 3 to 5 minutes, and then you gain knowledge. And instead of like assuming you know everything, you know, like it's good to learn every day. Every day I try to learn something new because without that, then I mean, that's not like living life to me. Yeah,
I love learning too. You know, it's one reason why I do this show because I actually learn a lot doing this show. You know, like you guys think I know everything. I don't. You know,
he knows a lot.
You know, I have to do a lot of research for, you know, some of the episodes that I do. Not all of it comes from experience and prior knowledge.
Yeah.
So, I learn a lot doing this, and I love learning. So, thank you so much again for joining me today, and being on the conversation and everything like it was, because this is great conversations and topics. And to be honest, I really hope we talk about this consumption lounge thing a little bit more, because we're in I don't know land. There's a lot of unknowns. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that we're still creating, and I'm just happy that we're out of our basements and we can socialize with regular people.
Yes, nobody's really scared anymore, whereas before people were like really skeptical.
Yeah.
So it's a beautiful thing for the community to come together and to be able to sit here in another dispensary's consumption lounge and do the podcast with my friend.
Yeah, exactly.
And every would be okay with it.
Yeah.
I'm loving light, baby. And that's the only kind of vibration I want to put out to the universe, because it comes right back just like that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I agree.
Like that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Trey, for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
It was a great episode.
Yes.
You did wonderful.
I appreciate you, Chad.
She was a little nervous.
I just kept moving.
Gino's giving her the thumbs up too. But before we get off, I want to thank my sponsors again, Monster House, where we're sitting right now in their gorgeous consumption lounge. We're going to have some bong rips after this. Cinder Cannabis, thank you so much. Check them out here in Las Cruces. And Turquoise Bloom, check them out here in Las Cruces as well. So thank you guys so much for your contributions to the show. It helps us keep going. And it helps make my work a little more worth it.
Yes. Greatly appreciated, Chad.
Appreciate it. And I appreciate you guys. I'll see y'all next week. All right. Cheers.
Bye.